fajita stuff. And so I just had breakfast, Mexican breakfast, and I ate way too
Sounds
much.
good. We're live now. We're live now. So
Okay,
this
cool.
is Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories. Today is March 7th already, 2024. I'm here with the real, the one and only John F. Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you?
I am doing so great, and you're so appreciated, Sue. Everybody loves you. I've been sharing, and everybody has nothing, but good to say about you. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Same
And
here. Same here.
let's make this world, let's make it history.
Yeah. I,
And
I, I want to let you know how supported you are. Now, there's always going to be haters and disbelievers out there. You'll never get rid of them, probably. But most of the people that I work with, we're here trying to help you heal your body, your emotions, and all of that. And we want to get the story out. So many of us have been out here, spreading the word for you. All right. So you've got a team at your disposal.
oh, it's so appreciated.
Yeah.
Smarty sent me a box of gifts. Way cool guy. Um, Even a sweatshirt jersey type thing. Just awesome gifts. But he's got the little stickers and things that make you feel better. Robin's been putting them all over everything. But I can honestly say the last 2 months
Yeah.
of my life, if you look at my videos on TikTok, there's one that's got over 500,000 views.
Yeah.
I look like death warmed over in that video. Um, I'm feeling better. People say I'm looking better. My heart, I got a call from the doctor. I think it's been 2 weeks now, and said my heart went from 30% up to 55%. Um, so that's making me feel better too. But
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of support, a lot of prayers, a lot of
Yeah.
loves. It's awesome. I am. I'm feeling much better, and people can tell by the videos I made 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well, by having the Holotech products physically around you, that will bring up your vibration, that will make you feel good. And we are actively healing. So on the cover of the book that you've written, we can use this photo. So Jedis, if you've got the book, please start doing the healing process if you're not already. But I've been using the picture here as well as your video to work on you. So with all of us working on you and these products, you're going to notice that you feel better, 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 better.
Um,
The products work with frequencies, healing frequencies.
I was thanking Smarty. That's not the one. For this right here,
PTSD.
and yeah, post traumatic stress disorder,
Yeah.
and because I have it, I've called it the 1,000 yard stare. Ever since I was young, because when you're in the military and people want you dead, you're looking in the treetops, you're looking in the windows, you're always looking for somebody that wants to kill you. And I've dealt with that my whole entire life, every day of my entire life. And so just having this, it's like a military dog tag to me. Just
Yeah.
having it
Yeah.
makes me feel more secure. Just him saying that helps with it. But I
Yeah.
got to share this with you. I got to get out here for a second. This is actually hanging on the wall in my, it's my book, but
Yeah.
I put that. Okay, if you can see it, I can't tell, but
Yep. It's perfect.
this is hanging on my wall, and
Yeah.
just that right there makes me feel better.
Right. Right. So that is how we're doing the healing. Like if you're not physically there, or we'll use a picture, and then we put the Holotech products, the healing wands and the other products that Smarty sent us on your picture, and they know where to send the frequencies for healing. So that's a perfect, what you're doing is perfect. And you're going to notice you feel better, you look better, you feel better, you look better. And it's beautiful because we'll be able to document it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Right.
Um,
I just wanted to introduce the book. So for those that don't have the book, it's called Stolen Identity, which is a perfect name for what happened to you, by John F. Kennedy Jr. So $20 at Barnes and Nobles or Amazon. And it's an easy to read book, meaning it's not rocket science, but the contents are hard to read. they're hard to hear because what you went through was horrible.
Yeah, a lot of it, um, of course, isn't in my book. Um, I can't write. Um, I ran a truck driving school, and I was in charge of the truck driving school, but I couldn't do the paperwork. And I had a secretary, a couple actually, and I would say, "Hey, this is what I need," and they would do it for me
Right,
because I was tortured. I was abused. Um, Once I tried to write a note, to get help, it was like, "I'm John Kennedy Jr. I've been kidnapped," and I was beat that day in the bathroom and thrown on the floor and kicked. I thought I was dying. But the whole time I was being kicked, they were saying, "You're never going to write anything ever again." But it mentally, so I couldn't write my own book. And Jackie um, Goldman, ghostwriter from New York, called me. We did a video chat, and she said she would help me, and it wouldn't cost me anything. And I was like, well, let's do it. So we spent many, many hours. So it's been translated through another individual, and much, much stuff has been left out. Some of the stuff I don't even like talking about, some of my eyewitness things that aren't in there. Um, but yeah, so I'm just letting everybody know it's me talking to someone else and then them putting it into words
right,
for me.
right,
Um, my version would probably be more hardcore than what Jackie put in there about all the murders and things that I've, a lot of stories aren't in there. Calaveras County, um, many, many stories of things they had me do as a child and what they have others do. Um, I just hope, my book gets to people and they'll want to share it. Um, it means a lot to me to get this out because there's a lot of other victims. I get people asking me every other day or sharing their stories of their lost loved ones, and I'm not in the position to help. And it really tears me up when I read someone that comment, "I need your help," and I can't help them. Maybe someday we can unite and get this out where I'm not, just sitting here in a trailer house.
right,
you know, but
right.
I wish I could do more, let's say, than we can, and we need to do more
Well, you,
because our government is a criminal organization, and they do things like they did exactly like they did to me to others. One thing I always think about that's haunted me is when my mother Jackie was shot in front of me, and I was had a gun pointed at my head by a couple of federal agents and thrown into a station wagon and ordered on the floor while my mom was dying, bleeding all over the ground. But there was a little girl, and this little girl was also thrown in the station wagon and told to get on the floor with me. I didn't know the girl. I had just met her, but she was younger than me. And to this very day, just that one scene, I don't know what they did with my mom's body and all this, but I have no idea who that girl was. Um, if she lived through it, because I was rescued by a federal agent, an armed federal agent, and taken out of the situation, but it was just me and him. He didn't take the girl with us.
right,
And it's like we left her behind, and there's nothing I can do, or don't know who she was, or if she's alive to this day. But a lot of messed up um, things that I have no control of.
right.
But I'm sharing, and hopefully it'll grow, and we can help more people.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to ask the viewers, like, first of all, to read this book, Stolen Identity, if they don't already have it. And secondly, go to your libraries and ask them to purchase the book for others to read. Pass the books out to those that haven't read them and that might be interested. It's really kind of the basis for what we're talking about. It explains many of the stories. And it is, like I said, it's not, the stories are hard to read. And what you've just told us, John, is that you've dumbed them down. You've left out a lot of detail. And it's even not all the stories or of course the names, but it's very hard to read. So for those that don't know, obviously, John was the son of President Kennedy, who was murdered in broad daylight in front of the world in 1963. John was 3. And then he was eventually put into a kind of a witness protection program, which was horrible. And it was filled with organized crime, communities, drugs, kidnapping, human trafficking, and murder. Anything you can think about that's horrible, they did. All right. So within years, John, your entire biological family was basically, they were all murdered and then they were replaced with doubles, as was John. So the one that we know as John was not him, obviously. Here he is. And the one that we know as John was killed in 1999 in that plane crash. And our John here has been tortured, kept in poverty, and almost murdered too many times to even count or mention, right? And you've also been kept, not only have you been kept in poverty, but you were drugged all the time. And you were kept in a program called MK Ultra. So basically they put a chip in your head and they tortured you. And from what I understand, they show horrible negative pictures, and it's kind of like hypnosis in a very negative way. They splinter your personality. And so many of the stories happen when you're under MK Ultra. You witness murders, you're involved with all sorts of very unsavory people, and you've seen a lot. Now, you were also involved with Hollywood, so you've had, connection with both political celebrity, if you will, Hollywood celebrity, and all sorts of people like we would call famous. So the story's an amazing story, right? Um,
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, my Hollywood career, the name they gave me was Richard Steele, the Hollywood name.
Right.
And I had just learned that I am, it was a real famous movie. With six, you get an egg roll. It was with Doris Day. But I Googled it because I wanted to buy the poster. And I'm actually on, as a child, on the poster from Finland and the regular movie poster. So hopefully one day I can buy the big movie poster, but I'm on there as a child.
Right.
Several there's a gal on TikTok named Jody that's been pulling all this stuff up, sharing the little
Right.
clips of all
Yes.
the, I mean, My Three Sons, Green Acres, Adam 12, many, many others that, they had me put on. One, they put a John F. Kennedy 50-cent piece on my head. That's the way organized crime, that, it's like a slap in the face. They're going to put
Right.
my daddy's coin on my head while I'm in a movie, or a, sick or show. Hollywood does that.
Right.
But I'm on the show One Adam 12. And the man that stole my identity, Richard Steele, you can see I'm like 8 or 9 years old on Adam 12. Clearly see I'm a little kid. But if you Google Richard Steele, he would have been 15, I believe, 15 or 16 years old at that time. And
Right.
it's like anybody with eyes can see that little kid, me, and stuck in there is not 16 years old.
Right. Right.
They don't mind about the age difference. And I think they do it to throw people off. The name they gave me, David Keith Quigley, my birthday that they gave me is January 15th, 1966. So there's a 6 year difference between my real birthday and the one they gave me on paper, my birth certificate. And Dorothy Quigley, when I was in Clovis, California with Quigley's, everybody was always having birthdays except me. They never gave me a birthday. They just kept feeding me a handful of pills that would give me a migraine at the end of the day. A lot of it, I believe, was to stunt my growth and make me forget. There's a lot of drugs out there for mental disorders that they can make you forget by drugs.
Right. Right.
And they were giving me they called it the vitamin regiment every day. It did give me nasty migraines at the end of the day. By the time I got off the school bus, I couldn't think. I couldn't do anything but go lay down in bed and go to sleep and try to get rid of the migraine. Um, but yeah, I never got a birthday. And I was like, why aren't I getting a birthday? Everybody's always having birthdays, but that's one of the tactics that they use. These people are the biggest crime organization in the world, the most advanced, the most powerful. They have all the money in the world and all the resources in the world. Um, and people, well, I didn't read about that, or I didn't hear about that on CNN or Fox or anything. It's because they don't advertise we killed this
Right,
person and
right,
stole this much money, or we killed this person and replaced. They don't advertise. I'm sharing what I have learned. A lot of it personal eyewitness accounts. And I was sharing some. I was sharing a story about my brother, my step brother, Alexander Onassis, how he died in my arms of a gunshot wound to the head. I saw him shot. I can tell you what the gun looked like. I can describe everything, him dying and lifeless in my arms while they're pulling the wreckage of the plane apart. And then I'm explaining all that in a video, and somebody says, well, that's not true because he died in the hospital of a plane injury 2 days later. But people don't realize they only get part of the truth. Um, Aristotle Onassis was a billionaire. He ran things, that could tell judges and government officials what to do. He had that much money and power because if they didn't do what he said, he would have them killed. He was that powerful. So he doesn't advertise he had a child through his mistress. They keep it because kidnapping and that kind of thing is common with billionaires. It's common practice. It's how our secret societies work to get people to pay up and every other thing. So they don't advertise. So when people give me comments like that, I don't believe you because it's like, hey, you believe me or believe the stories you heard, but I was an eyewitness. But many comments that just get
yeah,
me going.
yeah. Well, there's always going to be haters out there until there's not. But I know that, we've talked before, and you have you're willing to take DNA test and all of that. That's not the problem. So that will prove or disprove your lineage. But the problem is getting a non-corrupt and honest person to give you the results of the test. Right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. You don't need any interferences or blockages for that test. And, you're willing to do it. It's just you need to make sure the path is clear for honesty, right?
Yeah, I just did a show well, not last week, the other day with Jesse Hall on the missing link. And I was talking about DNA tests. I've actually taken 4 DNA tests. I just took one a few days ago. Um, that's because there's a gal that was on Aristotle Onassis Island. When I was on the island, um, I had 3 or 4 sisters, and I think they did that to mess with my mind.
And you
Um,
mean doubles in this case,
yeah,
people posing as your sister.
right. These all these girls showed up, and they were like, "This is your sister. This is your sister." And I think those girls ended up getting trafficked, probably sexually trafficked. But one of the girls came to me and said, "Hey, I might be your half sister." So I just took another DNA test. So we'll find out about that. But we purchased DNA from my father and mother. I don't know if it's real, but we bought it saying it was authentic of John F. Kennedy Jr.'s DNA. And I'm not going to announce it. I'm going to try to do it the sneakiest way I can by hiring a scientist.
Yep.
We actually came to the goal and raised $6,000 to hire a private scientist. And people say, well, what about those results? You ain't gonna know till I know. I'm gonna see if they can. This is making history, so I'm gonna try if they can videotape everything in secret. Um, how I find it and who I find it and get. I'm not gonna tell anybody. I want it secret. But
Right.
I've already shared it because we raised,
Right.
GoFundMe money for it. But I'm done talking about that one. As
Yeah.
far as when, how, where, and why,
Yep.
um, maybe someday I'll just ride off on my motorbike for a few days and come back with some test results. I don't know.
Well, most of us are not billionaires, so we don't understand all the what happens when you get lots of money. But it sounds very cutthroat, and it sounds like you can't even trust your bodyguards or whatever because they can be flipped at any time.
Yeah,
And
don't trust anybody.
yeah,
Um, Nobody, because
yeah,
there's always somebody that'll take the money. I've learned that.
yeah. So we talked a little bit about your mother's death already, like that, that should be later in the story. You were about 15 when that happened. And I guess my comment would be, how convenient was it that there were two agents that just happened to be there mysteriously when she was shot and killed? And this other girl, like, where did she come from? Like, how did she end up on the property? Did she come with them?
No, she was actually there that day, and she was sitting on a picnic table. And I had there was a couple other people there at the picnic table earlier that day, and I was just like, "Hey, how's it going?" But why she was actually there and kidnapped that day, also, I don't know. But there was more than two. Um, there was two that actually shot my mom and were armed. When I was getting um, thrown in the station wagon, I looked over. There was a white pickup truck that pulled right up next to and I got a glimpse of it right up next to my mom's body, like they were going to hurry up and throw her in the back of the truck. But my guess is there was, more than three. There was, they're organized. There was probably, one sitting, down the road with a walkie-talkie, and
Yeah.
I've seen how they work, but my guess, it was a planned hit. There was probably six or seven of them at least.
Yeah, so it was already organized. They conveniently had the truck, they had everything set up. And of course, you were just going about your business when that happened. And then somebody, basically what happened is they held you at gunpoint, took you to the police station, and tried to make you sign a document saying that you murdered your mother.
Yeah,
And
I was in tears. I wanted to rip them apart, but yeah, very emotional at that,
yeah,
remembering that at that time. I thought they were going to kill me for not signing it. I refused not to sign it. And they were sitting there going over paperwork, laughing about how much money they had just made by killing her. But the
you were
minutes
saying that in
prior,
front of you. They said that in front of you.
right in front of me at a desk, there was like three desks. Um, and I was sitting in a chair, right off from one of the desks. One agent was at the back desk, one agent was at the front desk. The agent that was at the front desk, had the paperwork for me to sign, called me over, sat me in front of it, and I refused to sign. I think they just said, "Well, we'll just kill you, then get rid of you." But the other agent went back, and I seen him shuffling the papers, saying, "Yeah, look what we just got, all this money." So it was actually um, finances on paper, probably real
Right,
estate, property, things like that.
right.
Um, but yeah, that day, see, I had a little camper trailer that Jackie had put in the campground right there. If you've seen my video where the anchor is right at that spot my mom was killed. But we were actually in the gas station, me and my mom, and she was like, "I want to start a new life with you. Um, we can start over here in Bullhead City, Arizona." And we were actually talking about, getting away from all the organized crime and just trying to have a little civil life. She was talking about me working in a gas station, for Christ's sake, just stay on the down low. And 2 minutes later, I was getting taken away. I heard the gunshots, and just the little plans like she had, just
Yeah,
to get away from it all.
yeah. It's like you can't escape, you know, and none of your family really did escape. And so we've already talked about this before. Your mother already had a double, even when she was in the White House. There was a double, basically attending events or whatever, I assume.
Yeah, she probably had a couple.
Yeah. Was it because she was shy or she didn't have enough time? Why do you think she had a double back then?
A lot of it's because the Secret Service.
Oh,
and their control. They say it, it's to throw people off. One Jackie will be here, another Jackie will be there with body doubles. But what I've learned is just, they get the body double in place and then kill the original and
yeah,
use the body double to siphon off all the funds of
right,
the other person.
right. And
I mean,
so,
it gets real deep, but once you understand what I'm saying about the body doubles and the money behind it, it's like they say we're gonna, a bit, just any billionaire or anyone with, a ton of money, they convince them that, oh yeah, we're doing it for your own good, for your protection, just like, the mafia and the protection racket. But
yeah, they
it
create the
goes down to,
problem.
we're going to steal your identity, we're going to steal everything you got, but we're going to tell you we're protecting you.
Yeah, they create the problem, then they give you the solution, which is horrible,
And
right?
I had been kidnapped, and I know it was for extortion money, through Jackie or Aristotle or, the Kennedy family. But I had, it was almost like a game.
Yeah,
I was kidnapped. Some of it ain't even in my book, the things that they did. The dog cage one is in the book, I believe.
right.
But yeah, there was, I don't know if Jackie put that. I don't even like reading my book.
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
teared up
they're
when people are sharing it. But I was kidnapped probably a few times more than that's even in the book. And it's just a game to the people in government.
yeah.
They get somebody that doesn't want to pay up, or they need, money, kidnap the family members.
And these are basically agents that are supposed to be, protecting you or watching over you.
Right.
Yeah,
Our FBI is bad. I personally found out that,
right,
by going to the FBI several times for help.
right.
Our Secret Service, they're controlled just as bad, and I believe our CIA is even worse. Um, they can do anything they want. And like a Secret Service agent, it is law. You can't charge a Secret Service agent for a crime. You can't do it. They are untouchable. Um, you can't. They can get away with murder, and they do.
Right, right. Well, all those three letter agencies have corrupted their power. They've stepped outside the line so many times. And just the fact that these agents are kidnapping you, beating you, extorting you, for getting the money, killing your mother, it's inconceivable. And see, and we also have to set the scene. This is in the 60s and 70s. So the population didn't have internet. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have an easy way to take a picture. You had to go develop a picture, right? So we didn't have instantaneous access to information like we do now.
Oh, I remember when video cameras first came out, when they would be doing a job, and I was brought along. Always paranoid about, a video camera down the street could have caught them, or, make sure the one at the bank was shut off
Yeah,
just because they didn't want to see their cars being drove down the road. But, that now we got the internet. Back then there
yeah.
wasn't anything they could do. They could block off a whole street and nobody would ever know.
Yeah. I'll
um
watch an old movie and I'm like, well, what about the cameras? And I'm like, oh, they didn't have them then. But now they're literally on every street corner. They're in every major building. Everybody has them at their front door. I mean, and everyone has their phone. So everything is recorded, you know? And so I won't say it's easier to get away with stuff because, but you have to think about that camera faction or ability, and you have to be a little smarter, than you did back
yeah,
then.
these guys that are doing it are the Secret Service, and
Right.
they
Yeah.
want to stay secret, so they take every precaution to
Right.
to stay secret.
Right. So one of the things we had talked about before is, killing your father in public like that is they did it that way because they wanted the world to see so they would not bring a double back, right?
Exactly.
So basically it was a one and done thing.
Just
And
like Bobby, when he
yeah,
was killed in front of all those people.
yeah,
They do that because identity theft is so huge in organized crime.
right.
um that's to me, that's why they did it, because now my father was gone in 63. He wasn't coming back. But if he was killed in the White House, or if he was poisoned in his sleep, or any other thing like that, they would have made a new, I would have had a new father,
Right,
because they got to hold on to that power. He was the
right.
president of the United States. They wanted him to lose all power of presidency that day. Um, if you've seen the movie Dave, there's a movie that explains the whole thing of identity theft with the president of the
Yeah,
United States. The movie's called Dave. You know my
yeah,
first name.
yeah.
It's crazy, but
Kevin
watch that
Kline.
movie, because
Yeah,
that's exact, and they're telling you right
yeah,
exactly how they do it.
yeah. They hire an actor to play the president, and because the president dies of like a heart attack or whatever, and only a few people know that he's not the real one. It's a good movie, actually.
Yeah, it's a fun little movie, but it in reality explains exactly how
Yeah.
they take over somebody's identity.
And we've seen that now that like most of us watching this know have looked around at entertainment, music industry, politics. We're seeing the doubles come out like crazy. Like they're either people in masks, they're clones, they're androids, whatever it is, doesn't matter. We know that they're not the originals. And then they seem to have all of a sudden their music is different and they do this different and they do that different. But everyone is so excited that they're on stage or whatever. They don't think that this isn't the original, you know?
Yeah, and they got really good at putting somebody on stage and having them lip sync a few songs,
Yeah.
just for the, you know, the money that
Yeah.
they're making.
The
They can't they
money
can't
and
stop
control.
that $200-300 a ticket,
Yeah.
fee to come see somebody lip sync.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when that person isn't even remotely the same person. It's like there's one I'm thinking of now that's not even a woman, it's a man playing the part, and it's like people are going insane for this person. I'm sick of hearing it, and I'm just trying to keep out of it because it's just a waste of my time to argue with them. But it's very, very prevalent. So we're seeing, like we see masks, and the mask capability is much more sophisticated than we are aware of. And then, of course, there's doubles. You talked about plastic surgery before. There's clones. There's all sorts of ways that they can get a look-alike into
Yeah,
identity.
they still I was, watching a few videos over the last few weeks. The silicone mask technology they go out, I slip it over and 5 seconds later you
Yeah,
couldn't tell.
it's shocking, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it sure
especially when
is.
they're in the upper echelons of our political system, you know who I'm talking about. Like it doesn't seem fair. And also, like we all know it, but why don't the people that can change it know or do something about it? Well, they're all in the same club. So organized
They're
crime,
making that paycheck.
yeah, it's very
And a
big.
lot of the Secret Service agents, and I keep saying, you people that are you Secret Service agents that are willing to die, because I was trained to be a Secret
Yeah,
Service agent.
yeah,
Um, I was taught to die, literally die, to protect the president of the United States, whether it's jumping in front of a bullet to protect him. And I keep thinking about that and how I was taught to don't even think, just respond to jumping in front of a bullet, a gunman, just the training of that. And it's like, for a Hollywood actor,
is
so you Secret Service agents, wake the hell up. You're putting your life on the line for a Hollywood actor and to protect organized crime and their secrets of identity theft. So you should probably just resign and go find another job now. And
yeah, yeah.
on your resignation letter, just tell them you're tired of the bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. So last time we had talked, you had mentioned some names, and I don't want to get you into any further trouble, but if you want to explain like your experience as much as you're able to say, that would be really interesting. And the first one I wanted to ask about was Charles Manson. And like just say what you won't get in trouble for, okay?
Um, Charles Manson, by what I remember, you got to remember I was a child.
Yeah,
Charles Manson was a part of the 13-member family. But as a child, I remember Charles Manson lived on a Hollywood movie set. The property he lived on was property of Hollywood where they would do movies. Well, in this movie set, and this is just going by memory and it's foggy, but on that movie set, there was some jail cells. In those jail cells was a couple of women, and I was actually thrown as a child in one of those jail cells on Charles Manson's property. Charles Manson had something to do with the movie industry or whatever. But we actually, I think it might have been Fresno at the time when I was still real young, Fresno, California. I'm just going to say it was Fresno, but I don't know if I was under MK Ultra or was just told to go stand out on the street. But me being a child and being 6 or 7 years old or however old I was, I went out to the street. Um, Cars would go by and I would stick out my thumb like I was hitchhiking. Why I did it, I don't know. I just did it. I was out on the street as a kid hitchhiking.
Because kids are
Um,
stupid.
a white van, and this is me remembering back,
Right.
50 plus years. But there was a white van that pulled up, and one of the guys in the white van got out, and I believe it was Steve or Victor. Um, but Charles Manson was driving, and they told me to get in the van. While they were telling me to get in the van, my sister Deborah at the time ran out of the house, started running towards me, yelling and screaming, and grabbed me by the arm and started dragging me back to the house, all hysterical. What the hell are you doing? But these two men at that time, and I do believe to this very day, one of them was Charles Manson, working with a federal agent trying to kidnap me. So um, I don't know 100%. All I know is Charles Manson was working with our CIA or Secret Service and trying to kidnap me for extortion money that day.
All right. So do you think that they knew who you were when they
Oh
pulled
yeah.
up on them? All right. And you said there were jail cells in the house that he lived at. Like they were like,
Well, it was like a movie set
yeah.
by what I remember. So there was like the prop buildings and everything, but one of those prop buildings was a little like jail for making films for TV of jail, like Gunsmoke when you'd go in there and they'd have the jail cells
Yeah,
put in
yeah,
there.
yeah. But were they like, if you were in them, could you get out? Like you said, you were in one of them. Were you locked
No,
in?
you were actually locked in.
And you said there were women that were locked
There
in?
was two other women in there, and one of those women was trying to comfort me and like, you'll be okay, kid. But yeah, the crimes that they got in trouble for with the killing and the cult killing was probably just, kind of like Epstein. Just you just hear a little bit of the story and not the whole story.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like that whole story was fabricated about him doing, like they may have done the killing, okay, but they built him up to be this horrible monster, but did they really put him in jail afterwards is the big question.
Um, I got an interview I just posted a few months ago of him,
Mhm.
and I had to post it because he's in there and he said, I have had all the money and power 2 or 3 times on paper. He said, he was saying, I've been totally rich on paper because, just like the two federal agents that had that stack of paper saying, look at what we made for killing my mom. And that rang with Charles Manson because he said he had the paper, he had the wealth, he had the Ferraris and the music studios, and he had all that.
Right.
And then he said, but it's the people at the top. And he said they don't care about the children. They're throwaway children. And he was talking about, the top, our government and how they're run.
Right.
So I had to post that because it rang so true with what he was saying.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I mean, it sounds like so he was known throughout Hollywood and the federal agents knew who he was before the murders happened.
Oh, they use them. That's how they get away with. They want a crime done. They go to people like Charles Manson.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting because it sounds
Um,
like he was probably a patsy, and maybe that story isn't what we've been told.
yeah, I have no idea.
He's probably
I can't say because I wasn't there, but he was definitely at the top of organized crime within our government agencies.
okay, interesting.
Just the same way like John Gotti. John Gotti was protected by these federal agencies. Um, it's who they want to expose, and they gotta expose somebody. They can't just say, we're crime fighters, but we don't enforce anything. So they got to throw little things out there like Epstein and Charles Manson, and just to make themselves look good. And these guys probably pissed off the organization,
Right.
just like John George when he was killed in that plane crash.
Right.
I'm thinking they wanted us all that day, but he pissed off the organization. He wouldn't have had any trouble, and I believe why he pissed off the organization because he killed Jackie Kennedy, the one the world knew. And Bill Clinton was the president of the United States, and Bill Clinton was like, "You don't kill my mistress like that and get away with it." That's
Right.
you know that's my. I don't have proof 100%, but that's I'm not stupid. I know intelligence games are really really good, but just by what I've heard and seen, he killed Jackie, his fake mom, for the money. And then Donald Trump and them all divvied it up.
Do you think Bill Clinton knew that she was a double, or did he
Oh,
think?
100%.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. So basically,
Yeah. I took a picture. Wayne had me take a picture of Bill Clinton and my mom on a yacht, not a yacht, but a nice boat. Um, Bill Clinton grabbed my mom's crotch that day, the fake Jackie anyway. He was trying to get down her pants right in front of everybody that day. But Wayne had me take a picture of them on the yacht with the American flag. But the picture that gets to me, and it's in the book I got, they are at the opening day of the JFK library. And Bill Clinton and my fake mom are sitting there almost in lip lock with you. You can look at both of them and say they're in love. You can see they're in love. And they made it public. But to me, what goes through my head when I see that picture of Bill Clinton and the Jackie Kennedy the whole world knew sitting there all looking like they're in love is at my father's opening ceremony of the library. And to me, they're saying, we got away with stealing billions of the Kennedy dollars. Look what we did. And
wow,
that's the smiles I see on their face.
right, right. Wow, that's crazy. So you think we'll call him the fake John, who we haven't talked about it in this video, but John, the one that the public knew that was on People magazine and the talk shows, was really, we think, Aristotle's illegitimate son, George. All right. So he lived the good life. He was out there in the public eye, wealthy, handsome, all the good stuff, but he was really a bad guy underneath. He was really doing nefarious things to keep in the good graces of this um, crime family, if you will. And you think that he's the one that killed the fake Jackie.
Yeah, well, when I was with Wayne at her apartment, um, I'm pretty sure it's in the book. I'm not sure, but
It is.
she had said to Wayne, I think the kids or children, I can't remember if she said children or kids, but either way, had poisoned me at dinner.
Right.
And then she gets stomach cancer and later dies of, but poison, cancer,
Wow.
these doctors, how they work, and how they are, told what to do and everything. But to me, when somebody says they have been poisoned and then they end up dying of cancer, it was really poison. But her exact words that I heard myself was she thinks the kids had poisoned her.
Right. Right. Oh, we can't hear you anymore. Okay, so we just got cut off our live, and so this is part two of the same video. All right, we assume that you've seen the first part. All right, so we were just talking about Jackie being killed, the fake Jackie, the body double, and that she was poisoned. We think by the double for John. All right, so we'll call the double John, as he was called in school, right? Um, so basically, what happened is she was killed, and we think that he got himself into trouble by maybe owing people money and then maybe doing a few murders and some other things that he shouldn't have been doing. And that's why he was killed in the plane crash. Does that sound like a good theory there?
100%.
Yeah.
Cousin Adam, I call him Cousin Adam anyway, but he died the same year. Um, so yeah, they were both partners in crime, and they both lost their lives. Both supposed to be my relatives, but yeah, in 1999 was the
Yeah.
year for them that the organized crime had them disappear.
Right. And you were in more than one plane crash in your life. Is that correct?
Some I haven't even mentioned, but yeah, God was with me, been with me. I will not fly to this day. Helicopters and even the smallest little crash, not even crashes, but too many. Um, I won't fly. I feel like I've been a cat with 10 lives,
Yeah.
and I've used them all up. And you tell somebody you've been in a plane crash, it's like, I don't believe you. How could you survive? But I spent my whole life flying around the world and everywhere to
Right.
stay safe and keep in hiding. But they love plane crashes and helicopter crashes. That's
Right.
one of their ways to get rid of these people in power. People in
Right.
power love flying helicopters, and from Donald Trump to you name it, from bands. But yeah, I won't fly.
Right.
Like I said, Robin asked me to fly to Texas and fly with her back, and I was like, sorry. My number's up when it comes to a plane crash. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want to. I've been in the hospital and near death too many times, and I just think of a plane and feel the pain. And I've known of others, John Denver and Sam Walton's son, and all Donald Trump and all these other people that have died in plane crashes
Right.
because they control they control the skies, and it's a good way to say, you know,
Well, in the
look at
case
Kobe
of
Bryant and everybody else.
yeah, the case of John, you said they sabotaged the flight mechanism by putting a
And that's
coal.
been covered up. That was never made public.
Yeah,
They didn't hold up a quarter and say, look what we found in John's plane crash.
yeah,
They don't. They cover it up.
right.
I'm a personal eyewitness. There was a quarter placed in the steering mechanism that
Right.
made that plane not steer any longer,
Yeah.
and it was a total mafia. They got George with a quarter.
Yeah. Wow. Now, before his death, he had done some other things you had mentioned in the book. You didn't get along with him anyway, and he had done some other things, but you basically said he got himself into trouble, and that's
Yeah.
probably why
Well, see, my whole lifetime thing was when we were in school, and federal agents introduced me to him at a young age. They said, he's your brother. And, you're taught at that age, family is everything. I mean, absolutely everything. So they're telling me he's my actual brother. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with it, but I don't believe it because he's not my brother. So my whole life I was saying, I was told he was my brother, but he's not my brother. But then my mother married Aristotle Onassis. So he was my, you know, brother through marriage. So they were right. They weren't lying to me then. He was my brother, but it was through marriage. We had no blood relation.
right.
Um,
Right.
so I went with it my whole life. But, when it came time when I said, I want to come out and expose myself to the world, he did not want that to happen. He liked the easy life.
Right.
Um,
Well, he had got
and he
all the
liked being
money and
me.
he got all the money and all the stuff. Yeah. And all the the public's affection. So that's why when he did die and it was, sabotage, they made it seem like just a plain Jane plane crash. Well,
I got a comment on the internet on TikTok yesterday, last night. This guy says, I don't know, but I was more happy with Mr. Pretty Boy being John John. I was like, I commented, well, you're showing your true colors, dude. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. So a lot of people don't want to know the truth because it's uncomfortable. And the truth is pretty ugly here. All
They
right.
don't like the fact that they've been lied to, but I think what they don't like is them acknowledging that they accepted being lied to. And the truth hurts. It really does. But I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people can accept it. And then again, we got a lot of enemies. Um, the night before last, matter of fact, it was when I posted for this show, I had 10 comments of hate messages from 10 different people. And I have no problem deleting them. I went to their account and I looked, 2 followers, just made the account,
Yeah.
blocked it, went to the next rude comment, 3 followers. You know, one person had
Yeah.
10, but it was all accounts made up just to come on and say, you're full of shit. And it
Yeah.
was like, they're doing that. They're leaving, you know, if, and if I can say this for a minute, my book on Amazon, the reviews, there is people purposely paying $10 to get my book on the computer so you can read it off the computer and then leaving a bad review. You know what my book's about, people. I'm anti-government. Donald Trump is a fake, is a fraud, just like everybody else in our government.
Mhm.
So if you are a Donald Trump supporter and you're buying my book just to leave a negative comment, or you're part of the crime families just to leave a negative comment, you're exposing yourself. You don't think they can track you and where you are and where you left that comment and every other thing. Um, yeah, but the good is going to overcome because people are leaving 5-star reviews because they know it's true, and the good reviews are going to outnumber these
Mhm.
criminals and these people just out of spite and hate.
Well,
It's you know, God's going to overcome.
let's talk about the reason why you're doing this. So, from previous interviews and your other videos, it sounds like about maybe 7 years ago, you're like, okay, I'm going to come out and tell my story. Is that the way it happened?
Yeah,
And
I just got fed up. I didn't know how long I was going to live. My health was really poor, but I wanted justice. You know, I lived with it my whole life, and it was like, if they kill me, they kill me. It means that much to get this story out. So
right.
I just wanted it out. Whatever happened happened, but I wanted, and I didn't know. I thought, you know, I'd start sharing a couple months later. You know, all the news media would be at my porch. I thought that my whole life too. I was living with the Quigleys 20 years ago, and I got on the little riding lawnmower and I was cutting all the grass, and I was like, I'm going to share my story, and every news media is going to be here interviewing John Kennedy Jr. so he could share a story. And I don't know what happened back then, but I didn't decide to come out with my story. But I thought it would be easy. I didn't think it would be. But, you know, organized crime has gotten so big and hindering everything, and a lot of people from getting the truth out. They're running the show and they like running the show. So let's uh let's get together, unite, we stand, and let's not take our government shit no longer, because they are a criminal
Yeah.
organization
Yeah.
that gets away with murder.
So what motive? Okay, so I just want to bring this out, okay? Are you trying to gain wealth from doing these interviews and getting your story out there? Are you trying to like sell your books? And I know you don't make a lot of money selling a book, all right, but are you trying to get rich by selling books? Are you trying to become famous? Like, do you have motives along those lines?
When I decided 7 years ago, I was in total poverty, so
Yeah,
I wasn't looking to get rich, but I just wanted food to eat,
yeah,
basically. But a lot had been stolen from me. My whole life has been stolen from me. So if I could get that back, which I've never will, I already know that I won't get my life that I should have had back. Is, you know, I
right.
don't see it possible, but at least making people aware of what happened would
Yeah.
make me happy.
Mhm.
Not being in poverty, I've wanted a Harley Davidson um, for the past 40 years. I've wanted, I got a Honda Goldwing I fixed up, but it's a really inexpensive motorbike. I think I got it for $1,200 on credit and was paying the guy I got it from, $100 here and there. When I got my tax refund or whatever it was, I, paid him some money, but um, it's not like a Harley. But my whole life I wanted a Harley,
Right.
and I'm looking for Harleys now. I don't have the money, but I'm looking and I'm messaging people. I'm a biker. I deserve a freaking. I'm John Kennedy Jr. I deserve a Harley Davidson.
Yes.
Um,
So
and
basically,
a lot of it's just the name and the
yeah,
saying I have a Harley, but
the
yeah,
bottom line to me,
I'm gonna get a Harley. I really am.
the
You hear
bottom
that,
line,
Robin? I want a Harley.
you just want the truth out and you want to live a peaceful life. You're not really after
That'll never
getting,
happen though.
you're not really looking to get into politics. You're not looking to become famous or ultra wealthy. You just want to live, it sounds like. Like we talked about fishing a couple times. You've talked several times about riding your motorcycle. You just really want the more simple things in life. You're not really look like,
Yeah,
right now you have lived a life of uncertainty and betrayal, like every step of the way. You just really want a peaceful life, it sounds like. And a Harley.
yeah. But
And a Harley.
yeah, me not being in danger, it'll never happen. Just be, my whole life I've said, why, all these attempts on my life and me having to live the way I have. Why? It's not because of anything I've done to others. It's just who I am.
Right,
I was born John Kennedy Jr., and people don't want me to share my story,
right,
and they want to take my life, so I don't share my story.
right,
But things are getting better. Like the past few months have been some of the happiest in my life.
right,
Me being with Robin and the cards and wonderful gifts and things. Um, it's awesome.
right.
I don't want the mega rich. I just want to be happy. I don't want to work,
Okay. That's
6 months
really,
ago I could not go to McDonald's. Let's just put it that way.
yeah. I just really wanted to bring that out because a lot of people are like, me. They want to know why you're doing it and they think you're after the money. But I want to point this out, and you say it right in the book, that the Kennedy estate, like all the stuff and all the money, all of that's been long gone. Is that true? It was sold off. They got millions of dollars or whatever, but you didn't see a penny of that.
Right. And
Nor will you
there's still
ever.
money being made.
Yeah,
I'm sure of copyrights. Just that picture of me doing the salute, the most, one of the most famous pictures. There's copyright. People are making money off the Kennedys and copyrights, and to this very day. Caroline Kennedy, she's making money off the Kennedy's things right now. She's not Caroline. My sister was murdered. She replaced my sister. The money that's being made, all the millions of dollars that were, um, these people are still profiting off
right,
the Kennedys
right,
today, and they have no right to. I'm trying to um, get justice is one of the main things. Justice for the murders and the cover-ups to this very day.
right,
My loved ones had been murdered. My loved ones have replaced. I've been an eyewitness to this, not conspiracy theory. They're still covering up the fact they are allowing murders to happen, and there's no consequences to the actions. There's no justice. Um, and we all need to bring that to light. And you can all help me by sharing the story and bringing it to light.
right,
A lot of the sayings on TikTok and stuff, justice for John, justice for all. Because if I can get my justice, a lot of others will get their justice too.
yeah,
And until I get my justice and we expose the facts that murders happen and have been covered up by our very own government, they're going to keep running things and running this country into the ground.
yes. So planned and covered up by governmental agencies. And this isn't the only story. I mean, so
Yeah,
that is
there's
very shocking. Like, so we have to think as citizens, what else have we been lied to about? Like pretty much everything? Yeah,
all the way from 9/11 to Las Vegas to Waco. There's so many that we have been lied to
yeah,
that I personally know about. Reverend Jim Jones, the
yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of people killed in that massacre, all because they killed one family member, a government official, just one. And the orders came down, kill them all. They kill one of us, we'll kill all of them. And that's the way it is. I've seen many mob wars. I've seen many murders. I know how these are taking place, how you get someone to kill someone for you and the spin put on it. I've seen it.
Right.
A lot of it I haven't shared, but um, I'm very knowledgeable of how it works. I've personally seen mob hits in the 70s over and over again, and how to get someone to kill somebody else. Um, I've seen death. I've seen killing. And a lot of it ain't in my book. It doesn't need to be in my book, but um, yeah, it's so true. It's so real.
Yeah.
And when I get comments that it's
Well,
like,
you
what
have
do
to
I?
ignore them. You can't dwell on them. Delete and move along with what you're doing. You can't focus on the negative too much. I get comments all the time, and I might argue with them a little bit for fun. But you know what? Why focus on them? This is a huge story, and it's so big and it's so intertwined. They don't want the story coming out, which is why we got kicked off our live. They are messing with the lines, so they don't
Yeah,
want it to come out.
we got so many enemies. I mean, organized crime has taken over the United States government.
Yeah,
They have taken over the United States government. They have taken over the media. They have taken over our agencies. Organized crime has taken over everything.
right.
Um, and I can't not read this again. It takes up a whole page in my book. Um, and this was from my father, the President of the United States. There is a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. He quote, that's a quote from the former president that was assassinated.
In
There
public.
is there is a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. But he said, before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose the plot. That's a quote. But he was killed. He wanted to expose them. He wanted to for we the people.
Right.
Um, but he's not here anymore. And we lost a good man too early. That man was my father. And I wish I could be half the man he was, but it'll never happen. But I want to continue and keep exposing what he was trying to what he lost his whole family over this, not just his own life, but he lost the life of his daughter, his wife, his wife's family, his wife's new family. He lost more than
Mother.
he
Right.
he knew.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think you should sell yourself short. All right. Because after reading the book, talking with you, and hearing just a fraction of the experiences you went through, just the tip of the iceberg, which are mind blowing things. It takes a strong person to live through all of that, to come out the other side. And it takes a really strong person to step forward with a target on your back, right? And that's why, what I'm asking for is the Jedi's here to help support, heal, and protect you, which they are doing. You're going to notice improvements in every area, but it takes a really strong person to go through what you've done. So
Um,
don't sell yourself short.
I appreciate that. One thing that kept me going, because honestly, I mean, I don't talk about it all the time, but there was times years ago and years every day I thought about suicide every single day. I thought about it, not that I would do it, but a federal agent told me years ago, I mean, when I was young, don't ever, whatever you ever do, don't kill yourself because you'll get through it. There's been time I've had it. I've been fed up. I wanted to just put a gun to my head, put a gun in my mouth, however, and pull the trigger and just end my pain that was in my heart. Um, and every time I would think that voice of him saying, "Don't, um, you'll miss out. You'll let your family
Right,
down."
right.
Those words of encouragement. And with that said, I wish I could encourage every single veteran out there not to commit suicide, because they don't, once you pull that trigger, you're done. There's no more finding out the good stuff on the other side or staying alive. But 22 veterans every day commit suicide. And I don't know if that's a program that was placed to them when they entered the armed services, because the numbers are crazy. It needs to really be investigated by our government if spies have infiltrated our military agencies to get these veterans to kill themselves after their service is up.
Well,
22 a day, you figure it out. 22 a day, every day, 365 days a year, year after year after year. It's in the tens of thousands of suicide victims by members of people
yeah,
that fought for our country, that are
yeah.
there for us. And they're doing this. So it's not right. It's something's up. And the criminal organization that have taken over our government, I'm sure, have a big hand in it. And we need to fix it right away. We really
Yeah.
do. We need to
It,
save 22 lives tomorrow.
it's a really shocking statistic. And you think these people that have seen, combat, they've seen the worst and most horrible things. And of course, they're all, all these wars are also created by those that are on the top levels, if you will. For it's a money grab, it's a power grab, a resource grab, whatever it might be. But then our
For
young
profit.
men are and women are sent, wherever to fight, and then they come back, they're maimed, they're psychologically affected, they've got PTSD, they can't work, they can't hold down a job, and they don't get disability or their benefits. They're living below poverty levels on the street, and no one wants to work with homeless people, do they?
We need to fix that right away. We really,
Oh,
really do.
yeah,
There's so many top priorities like that that we need to fix right
right.
away. But one thing you can do is if you see a vet, tell them you love them, tell them they're appreciated. Um, Thank them with your
Yeah,
heart. Thank them. They help protect you as a citizen. But yeah, just give them a big thanks.
yeah,
Tell them John Kennedy Jr. thanks you, and say, your life is precious.
yeah. Yeah, and or bring them a sandwich. Like, all right, so a lot of times I'll see them on the street corners with signs, and I don't always have cash with me, so I'll run down and grab a sandwich and a water or whatever, and at least give them that, because that's more than nothing, you know?
I live in Bullhead City, Arizona, and don't people don't take this as a discouragement. Bring them a sandwich. But I think it was 2 years ago now. There was a woman that went to the park in Bullhead City, Arizona, and brought him a basket of food and was thrown in jail for feeding the hungry. People, let that
True.
sink in.
That is a
She
true
was
story,
jailed for bringing a hungry person a sandwich. That's what our country has become.
because that they don't want charity for these people, you know, or really anyone.
It's a crime to be homeless.
Yeah,
But what's even more disturbing is we're not charging our government for allowing them to be homeless,
right.
allowing them. Our government is putting these people in poverty, and then it's a crime to be in poverty.
Right.
And that needs to change right away from day one. God, I wish I had a presidential pen. I'd be signing my name on all kind of stuff the first day.
It would be a much different society, but I think our political system will be changing fairly rapidly, and I think that will affect, it trickles down to society as well. Attitudinal as well as the financial, economic, just the human kindness factor of what we're doing and how we treat people. So, we could talk about that all day. I wanted to ask a few more questions, to clarify for people that haven't, watched the previous videos. Like when you bounced around a lot as a child. So your father was assassinated at age 3. Around age 7-ish, your mother married Aristotle Onassis, and that was your real mother that married the real Aristotle. Would that be a correct assumption?
I don't know because when my mother had the wedding, I was actually there. The pictures at the wedding of Aristotle and Jackie are of me. I was there.
Okay.
But when I was sitting in a chair at the wedding, Jackie wouldn't talk to me. The fake wouldn't talk to me. So I think it was the fake that married Aristotle. I really do.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder if that was something she was forced to do. We won't know that, but
Yeah. I remember at that wedding there was a group of call them agents, but it was almost like they're splitting up the money right then and there. This is the Kennedy fortune. This is the Onassis fortune. They were actually talking about, like, this is in it, what's for our side of the family, what's in it for your side.
Wow. So it sounds like this was a contrived wedding, the doubles married each other, if you will, to get access to the fortunes, which were then drained. And of course, the originals were murdered, which is pretty horrible. But you were just a child, so you really, again, a kid is not thinking along these bigger lines,
Yeah,
So
you're thinking where you're going to go swimming next, and
yeah,
go play with the other kids.
yeah,
The murder and the planned and the fortunes, you're not thinking of all that, but they are.
yeah.
So yeah, a lot of that is like,
And as
I
a
was
little
just
kid, you don't even understand money, whether you have money or not. You live the way you live, and you don't understand that there's maybe a different way to live. But was the fake Jackie nice to you in general, or did she ignore you in general?
I think she was scared of me because when I would show up, I'd be with Wayne
Ah,
usually, and she was taking orders from Wayne probably, or another member of the. But
okay.
it's almost like she was scared of me.
Okay. So I'm just kind of like we're bouncing around a little bit today, but basically what happened is I think we'll say maybe nine-ish. I don't know if that's the right age. You were sent to the Quigley's house where you lived.
I was introduced to them probably about 5 years old.
Oh, younger. Okay.
Yeah, this was after my father was killed, but I was introduced to him at a young age, um, kindergarten age anyway.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
was told to call that, I called him Max and Dorothy when I met him, and I was reprimanded. You call me mom and you call me dad,
Right.
and it was forced. I'm your new mom and dad.
Right.
But I was taken all over many places for a week or 2 weeks. Anybody that was in the Hollywood scene, Frank Sinatra or Muhammad Ali and all these other people. I was constantly spending time with these other people,
Right.
Doris Day and Eva Kabor, and just so many. But it
Right.
was, I don't know why they did it, but I was a week here, I was a week there. When I've looked at back at it years ago, I was like, maybe they were trying to find out who actually killed my family members, and I was the pawn or the worm on the hook type thing. But I don't know, but I was moved around a lot,
Yeah.
a whole lot.
Yeah. And we've talked about this. They even would come and drag you out of bed at night and take you to witness unusual things. Like that's not common behavior. And again, you were all over the world doing all sorts of things, some good, most bad, it seemed to me. And so you talked about you were learning to paint, and you studied with a couple famous artists, and then you were in several TV shows and movies. So you were doing all sorts of interesting things, but then you were also shown the criminal side of life, murders and extortion, beatings, all sorts of things. So it's a very interesting you know experience that you've had. And so Wayne was your handler in this case. Well, that's a good word for him. We don't know if he was good or bad or had your best interests at heart, but he's the one that often coordinated where you were, who you were with, what you did, that sort of thing.
Yeah, he would take me to Hollywood and think,
Yeah.
hold on, Robin, please turn off that heater. I'm sweating over here. Thanks. Yeah, I was moved around, and one of the strange things with you saying that is, if I was at a family's house, um, I don't know. Well, I do know, like they were involved in the Masonic stuff and the secret societies. But actually, in the middle of the night, they would wake me up, get me out of my bed, and knock me around or take me out and hang me from a tree. Play like they were going to kill me. And I believed it was to make me tough and make me strong and not fear being hung or killed, or just the crazy things they would do. But yeah, waking up a child that, 6, 7 years old in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, taking them outside, putting a rope around their neck, throwing that rope over a tree, having you stand on a stump, and then kicking the stump out from under you. But it happened night after night after night. It was always waking me up from the middle of my sleep.
Right.
And I don't know why. I know to this very day, I wake up, just about every night at 3 o'clock in the morning, like I'm expecting it.
Yeah.
And this is 50 years later, more than 50 years later.
Yeah.
So it's they teach you as a child, it sticks in your head. But why was that done? Um,
Yeah.
it made me who I am to this day by what they did. I don't have any control because it's done. But why was it done? I don't know.
Right.
But
And
there's people out there that do that stuff.
you literally had a physical chip in your head. So they were able to track you all the time. All right. So there was at least one that we know of. There could have been many more. All right. Because you were often drugged, you lost a lot of time. And because of MK Ultra, you weren't always clear of thought. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah, I was with a lot of families and different,
yeah,
scenarios. But one time I was at a graveyard. The lady made me pull weeds, telling me, "You're pulling the weeds. That's your family there, and you killed them." Um, Several weird things like that. I was on a movie set one time, and this woman out of the blue, she was an actress. I believe they killed her in a car accident. But I was actually in oh, I can't remember the name of that movie, but I was in several. But she was an actress, and she came unglued at me on the set one day and said, "It's all your fault. You killed them all." Just mental trips like that were
yeah.
thrown at me as a child. Um, Attila the Hun, I believe, is the name of that movie.
Oh, well, it's definitely psychological abuse, like being woken up out of bed and having all these crazy experiences and then having people say all that and tell you these things. That puts a lot of fear into you. And it just furthers along the MK Ultra, I'm sure, and the uncertainty in you have no one to trust. There's no one that ever has had your back, really.
Yeah, I remember one instance that, just talking with you brings up these old memories. But
Sorry.
I was with a group of people in the middle of the night, and this one woman, she was a younger woman, maybe in her teens, but she absolutely slapped me in the face and told me not to look at her. She said, when you're in my presence, you look at the ground. And a lot of that, I believe, is just to keep you timid and I don't know what the right word for it, but to keep your head down like you're nobody.
Subservient, subservient, like, wow. And this was you were a child, she was a woman, and she was a Hollywood person.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, interesting. So they would pull you out of bed. Sometimes you'd go to Hollywood and be in a show, which is bizarre. Sometimes you'd go here and witness a murder or see this or that. It just seems very odd, like what their purpose was for keeping you alive, don't you think?
Yeah. It goes back to when I remember them talking about slavery and how they were going to own me and control me my whole life. Um, I know, Hollywood is a very powerful um, murder crime ring, just like government. Same thing. If they want you gone, um, you'll be on a Hollywood set and you'll be gone.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have an accident, or whatever. Yeah,
And your body will be disposed of at a, crematorium that they own. They own a lot of things. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of crazy, and I don't want to talk about it because it's so big. I don't want to see anybody, life in danger for me telling a story. I got to be careful about that. But I have seen some crazy, powerful things that would scare most people,
right.
just for going to the store, going to the pizza parlor. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's organized crime is very, very, very powerful, and they can get you, you know, just about anywhere they want.
it's horrible. Sounds horrible. Now, why is it, we've talked before, you've been almost killed like a jillion times. I don't know the count, you don't know the count, but you've basically literally dodged bullets and you've had all these experiences where most people probably would have been dead and you're not, why do you think you're still here?
I think I got a few people in power that love and care about me. I think a lot of it is my intelligence and things that I haven't done to help protect me. Um, Gosh, I've gone out of my way not to eat things and throw things away. If somebody gives me a plate of cookies, they go right in the trash, and I just say, "Oh, thank you, they were so good." I don't want to hurt their feelings, but I've thrown a lot of things away like that that I can't take the chance
Right,
because I know my risk of losing my life over a plate of cookies is great.
right,
They love poison. I've been poisoned more than once, but I've gone out of the way to stay alive. I think a lot of it is being protected. I've learned
right.
how, and God,
Yeah.
there's maybe a plan. I don't have all the answers, but I do know that I've learned all the thing. When they come to make a hit, they come in twos, they come in pairs. They don't just come alone. Usually, it's with somebody else. They don't get a motel room. They'll get a campground. I have learned so much, um, and it's all good, um, in a way.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and when they do, like when they do come to try to take my life, and somebody steps in and sends them back to where they came from, and lets the other family members know that that's how they'll come if they, send them back in a box, straight up. That's the only way. If somebody's coming to take your life, you send them back in a box. So I have a lot of people that are willing to put somebody in a box to keep me alive. It's not like I'm going after them; they're coming after me.
Yeah.
So um, there's many answers to that question.
Well,
Um,
here's my theory is that you have a big purpose, like the fact that you're still here. You're smarter and you're stronger than you would have been probably otherwise. And you've had all these unusual experiences. There's a reason you're here and you're being protected for a reason. So that's why all of these attempts to hurt you and harm you, I mean, they have hurt you, obviously, but the attempts to kill you have failed because there's a bigger purpose and it hasn't happened yet. So
yeah.
it's going to be super interesting. But
I want to say things and then I don't because it's all the power of healing through faith. So I don't want to say this story when I was this or that, but yeah,
yeah.
I'm feeling better. Um, but yeah, I had been through hell in the past.
Yeah, definitely. And we did talk about this before. Like we have a team of benevolent people here that want only the best for you. They're working on your energetic healing all the time. They're working on protection for you all the time. You're going to see only better and better things happen all the time. It's going to be amazing. And you're going to have that Harley
Wow.
before your birthday next year, right?
I'm trying now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So
like, Robin, I love you.
But well, we've talked about an hour and a half, which is usually a good amount of time. But I would be glad to talk with you as often as you are willing to get more of the story out as you're, wanting to do so. So thank you for, your courage and your bravery. And
I
for
thank
those,
you. And let's do it again. Let's
yep.
do it again.
So for those that haven't read the book, please get the book Stolen Identity. Literally, that is the most perfect title you could have chosen because it really tells about not only your experience and the experience of your family, but what's really happening out there as we speak. It's not just a one and done. So great,
Yeah.
great book. And share it around, get it out to the local libraries, and Jedi's do your healing work on it. Anything else you wanted to say before we sign off for today, John?
A big thank you to you and all the supporters and everybody trying to get this truth out. Much thanks.
Yeah.
I can't do it by myself. I'm counting on everyone
Yeah.
else and I need everybody else. The truth will prevail. But
Yeah.
yeah, much thanks. Sue, so much thanks. I appreciate
You're
you.
most
And
welcome. And like I said, I'm just a person, but I'm glad to do whatever it takes as well to get the story out there because it is extremely interesting, but extremely important. And, you know, you can't have gone through all of that for nothing. There's a bigger reason than we know why you went through what you did. So,
Well, let's all find out together.
yes, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.